This season of the show finally answers the question of will they or won't they.
We're watching season 5, picked up for another 10 episodes, so we have 20 going in now. But we're getting the first 10. What's one thing for each of your characters that you're excited for?
I'm excited for the episode where there's a squirrel, and it literally drives Elliot crazy.
Did you have to work with a real squirrel?
We actually saw it.
Yeah, there was a real squirrel on set. I worked very briefly with it. I sort of saw it from afar. Emily and Jonathan worked with it close up, but the most I had to do was they shot the squirrel without me, and then I had a whole scene where I had to pretend I saw the squirrel, and they'll insert that shot.
I had no idea you could
And
train squirrels.
That's the magic. Oh yeah.
That's impressive.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I guess I would tease the episode, the Valentine's Day episode. I liked that one.
We left off with your characters trying to be friends. Is that really going to work out?
Well, they weren't just friends.
Well, they're friends with benefits.
They were friends with punch card.
Yeah.
They were friends with punch cards. This season, a lot happens. The show really kind of starts morphing and evolving and going in a direction that is going to make a lot of people very happy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this season, I don't think I know. This season of the show finally answers the question of will they or won't they.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll get an answer. We're not going to be strung along.
You will not be strung along.
But will that come in the first 10 episodes?
Well,
or
you
those
gotta
10
watch.
you just got
I
picked up
can't
from?
give away the
Okay.
whole barn.
I mean, I'm trying to get some little bits,
Yeah.
And obviously, what's going to go on with your character? Is he going to have anything besides, obviously, Gabi?
Yeah. Josh meets his dad this season.
Oh, that's big.
His estranged dad, played by the incredibly funny Andy Buckley from The Office. He's great. Josh meets his estranged father. Hilarity ensues. Gabi puts him in the hospital. Yeah.
So
lots
it goes
of good
real
stuff.
Well, is what we're saying.
In typical Gabi fashion, she gets involved where she's not needed, and yeah, it's funny. This season is great. I mean, I can't talk about the writing staff enough. They really up the ante, and there's lots of hijinks.
You have amazing guest stars coming up. Obviously, Betty White is an
Yes,
icon, a
we know
legend.
this.
What's it like working with her?
Well, working with Betty White is it's just refreshing to see her because she's so funny on and off the camera. So she's funny. She's a legend.
So she's exactly what you think she is.
She's exactly what she is. She's just remarkable. She's beautiful.
She's great. She's actually on our stage right now. She's wonderful. I was telling this story in another interview. There was this moment that got captured candidly where I was sitting down on a couch and I was just kind of holding Betty's hand and we were talking and I said, I can't believe I'm working with you. And she says, well, it goes both ways. And I was like,
You just melt and cry and be like, I'm not worthy.
And I mean, I know she wasn't just talking about me. I think, for someone, I think it's a testament to our show for someone like Betty White to come onto the show where she probably hasn't seen it. She probably doesn't know any of us. But she agreed to come on the show, and now she's a recurring character on our show, and she loves coming to work every week. And yeah, it's very surreal.
I love that it's not just one episode. It's gonna be
it's multiple.
Back in the day, they released the season 1 DVD of Golden Girls, and at the time, all the Golden Girls were still alive except for Estelle was quite ill. So the 3 that were well enough to show up were there, and afterwards they were doing a Q&A, and those 3 ladies were such pros. There was give and take. They'd set each other up, and then there were these jokes, and that's what my experience of Betty was like on her set. She's just so funny. Carl Reiner was, telling a very touching story about how before Betty met her husband, that man Alan Ludden had been his captain, in the war, and so he said that afterwards, Alan Ludden met Betty White, and he called Betty his captain-in-law. And so he was saying, oh, this is all, before, I met him before Betty did. And without missing a beat, she was like, oh, I'm so glad he said that, he met my husband before I did, instead of saying, that he'd had my husband before I did. And we all just roared. And she's so quick.
She's quick. It's amazing.
One last thing, I love She's the Man. And it might be annoying, but do you get asked about that often still?
That movie haunts me, and it will to the
But
day
is it
I
a good
die.
haunting?
It's a great haunt.
Okay.
It's crazy. When we did this film, I don't think anybody in the movie thought it was going to hold up as long as it did.
Still does.
It holds up, man. And it's just, the film came out 10 years ago.
And you had some of the best lines, too.
Thanks. Thank you.
It's true.
I'm not going to brag, but a lot of them were improvised. No, a lot of that movie was improvised. It was great. Yeah, that movie really like kind of held up over time, and it's the people who saw it 10 years ago are they're not teens anymore, but there's this whole new generation that came in and it never
wasn't a
stopped.
teen
You're
when I
the,
saw
you're
it,
the
so great.
hairdresser. I was like, yes, I was the hairdresser.
You should watch season 5 of Young and Hungry because it's very funny.
Because you watched all the other seasons.
Oh, there you go.
So you got to catch up.
Gotta know what's happening.
You need to know, man.
Tune into Young and Hungry. Great writing, great characters, great family show, something for everyone. And I guarantee you'll laugh. If you don't, I'll buy you a burrito.
A whole burrito.
Whole burrito.